The Tragic Life of Bai Ling. I'm not sure if Gen Z is familiar with Bai Ling. She first broke out in the mid-90s in the movie The Crow, and then she made a huge splash in the movie Red Corner, and she was starring in that movie with Richard Gere. It was a super big deal. That was in 1997, and she was on her way to becoming a big star, but what happened? She mostly disappeared from mainstream media. Why was there such a tragic end for such a shining star? I was once called Bai Ling, actually more than one occasion on the red carpet. In 2007, I was walking the red carpet for the 2007 Asian Excellence Awards, and suddenly a swarm of photographers shouted at me, "Look over, smile." And I was like, oh, for me? I couldn't hear what they were saying, but after I was done, my friend said they thought you were Bai Ling. I looked nothing like Bai Ling, but back then everyone called me Lucy Liu or Bai Ling because it was just like a slang for Asian girl. So Bai Ling was born in China. She served in the military, and then after high school, she performed in the Chinese theater. She had a highly acclaimed role in a movie called On the Beach, and that led to a bunch more acting work. And then after that, she was invited to NYU's film school, got a film agent, and found herself acting in Oliver Stone's Nixon and Will Smith's Wild Wild West. American audiences really started to hear about her after her breakout role in The Crow, starring Brandon Lee, who was Bruce Lee's son. Now, this was in 1994, and the movie's a cult classic, especially because Brandon Lee tragically died on the set of filming due to a malfunctioning prop gun. He died before filming was even done, so they had to finish the film without him. And Bai Ling had gotten very close with him. They connected on the fact that they were both Chinese, and the movie opened at #1 in the box office. So Bai Ling was stunning and stole the scenes in the role, even though she can barely speak English. So in the movie, she played a baddie. She was the half-sister and the girlfriend, questionable, of the main villain, and she followed up that role with another majorly huge starring role in Red Corner with Richard Gere. Like, she was starring opposite Richard Gere. This was in 1997. So looking back, it was such a groundbreaking role for an Asian woman because she neither played like a dragon lady or a lotus flower. She played a lawyer in China who was Richard Gere's equal. And she didn't play his romantic interest or anything. Instead, she played a multifaceted young attorney, and her performance was startling, honest, and people were very, very impressed by the work that she did in that film. I totally recommend that you watch it. So what was also refreshing about the film is that her character developed a friendship with Richard Gere's character instead of becoming like a sexy love interest. She still played kind of like a model minority brainy role though. But it was an impressive bilingual performance, and she played the role with such emotional complexity. It's what all the reviews said. She won several awards for her performance, but the film was critical of China, and you know China doesn't like that. So it was banned in China, and her passport was even revoked for a time. So it premiered in my freshman year of college. So here's a popular clip from her time promoting Red Corner, and you'll see early on she's already kind of a firecracker.
And you stayed very slender in America? You're not. Do you exercise and work out?
Yeah, I eat a lot, I sleep a lot,
yeah,
and no exercise, but vigorous sex.
Vigorous sex. Very sexy dress. Well, show the picture. Where's the dress she had on? Look at that.
Oh, God, where did you get that?
That's a great way to get that. It's been hanging up in my mirror downstairs.
She's promoting Red Corner on Jay Leno's Tonight Show. So even this early in her career, she had no fear, no filter, and she just totally spoke her mind. So in 1998, she was selected as one of People magazine's 50 most beautiful people in the world. This is like a huge get for any emerging actress. And then after that, she dated Chris Isaak for a while. Do you guys remember this music video? I mean, you guys probably have no idea who Chris Isaak is, but back then he was definitely a heartthrob, and this music video was all over MTV. And on a side note, Chris Isaak definitely has an Asian fetish. He's dated tons of Asian women. He was dating a well-known, much younger import model that I was friends with, and she was totally obsessed with him. He's so like decades older than her. And she told me that she laid down in front of his car so he wouldn't leave her. So I don't know what voodoo he was putting on this girl, but he's also dated Margaret Cho, and she claimed that they broke up because he didn't like the fact that she mentioned that they were dating in one of her stand-up specials. So I guess they were just hooking up. But I digress. So Bai Ling became a US citizen in 1999. So that same year, she appeared as Tuptim in Anna and the King, and she was playing the king's concubine. So for that role, she shaved off all her beautiful long hair, and she said that she cried. I can't even imagine doing that, but she said she cried when they shaved her hair off, and it felt as vulnerable as being naked is how she felt without her hair. She also mentioned every woman should do it once in their life to get the experience, and I don't know if I ever want to be that vulnerable. As usual, she delivered on emotional authenticity and received critical acclaim for that role. So in interviews at that time, she started to come off as super quirky already. She's like talking about how she has multiple personalities living inside her and how she could talk to ghosts and spirits. So everyone's already thinking she's kind of woo-woo out there. In 2004, she became known kind of as a party girl, a regular fixture on all the red carpets. Her career, though, was still on the upswing. So she appeared that year in She Hate Me, which was a Spike Lee movie, super prestigious at the time. And she acted alongside Jude Law in Sky Captain and The World of Tomorrow. And back then, he was super hot too. But in 2005, things started to take a little bit of a downturn, and super unexpected because it looked like it was going to be a huge year for her. So at first, she had been cast and was going to film scenes for Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. George Lucas apparently cast her himself. But suddenly, with no warning, she was suddenly cut from the movie. No explanation was given, and many news outlets reported that George Lucas cut her out because of her big spread and cover of Playboy magazine. And the timing seems sus. This racy Star Wars themed Playboy cover shoot was captioned Star Wars Collector's Issue. How did they not get sued for that? Which must have pissed off the director, and you can still watch her deleted scenes from Star Wars on the film's DVD release, if you even still have a DVD player. So the photos in Playboy are super fetishy. In one, she smokes what might be an opium pipe. In another, she's lying back topless, wearing Chinese print lingerie with an Asian painting behind her. The makeup's all, like Dragon Lady style, super cheesy, super Playboy. But the photos are gorgeous. They're like undeniable. They make her look beautiful. And I love that she continues to be super proud of her cover of the magazine. In a later interview with Vice magazine, she says that her photo shoot should have been celebrated. I'm the first Asian woman on the cover of Playboy magazine, she says. I went from a communist country to the cover of Playboy, and that should be celebrated. The fact that Bai Ling did not grow up in America influenced her decision to appear in the magazine, and she didn't really know the nuances. Basically in America, you don't go from A-list actress to Playboy. When you're retiring from acting, perhaps you'll pose on the cover of Playboy to revive your career, not at your peak of your career. So Chinese women in China are not allowed to display their sexuality so openly. So she must have basked in the freedom to celebrate her sexuality, as she should. However, what she didn't know is that people in America usually pose for Playboy long after their careers have tanked or peaked. Certainly, A-list actresses did not normally pose for the cover. So I can certainly relate to her desire to be a sex symbol. It seems to me that when Bai Ling was empowered by her sexuality, the Hollywood patriarchy had to come smash her down to size, as they like to do to women now, but even more back then. Hollywood could not accept it. Remember that this is taking time around the early aughts. This was a time when the media was regularly uplifting women briefly, when once they got to the top, they would tear them down, like see Britney Spears after her breakup with Justin Timberlake. Everyone hated on her for getting with Kevin Federline. It was a time of misogyny with Howard Stern and Playboy reigning, and it's also what writer Ariel Levy called early aughts raunch culture in her book, Feminist Chauvinist Pigs. Totally recommend that read. And we're kind of doing that right now. We're revisiting that time to see whose stories that we mistold, basically. So according to Feminist Chauvinist Pigs, during the early 2000s, women happily objectified themselves for the male gaze, and we called it empowerment. It's also what Vox writer called the bubblegum misogyny of the 2000s pop culture. I could relate to that. We were all wearing our like little Frankie V jeans that were down to our pubic bone, and many women were wronged and destroyed by the media of that time. And we're now revisiting those stories, and women like Monica Lewinsky, Pamela Anderson's Britney Spears, Princess Diana, and Paris Hilton, we were so quick to judge, and we were so cruel to young women back then. It's just normal. Remember Perez Hilton and how he would draw like slut on little socialites or like stars' bodies and just tear them down, and it was funny. It's because the Hollywood patriarchy wants its women to be sexy, but not too sexy. So Bai Ling crossed the party line, and after that, her career would never recover. Even after the Star Wars snub, she continued to appear in a flurry of film and TV guest starring roles on shows like Lost and Entourage. However, from then on, she became known more for her crazy red carpet fashions and wardrobe malfunctions. She told Reuters in an interview, "Sometimes my nipples just popped out. They want to see the sunlight, maybe?" So she was also suffering from alcoholism, which I can relate to. So in 2008, she was arrested for shoplifting magazines and batteries at LAX. The items were worth about $16, and she later told E! News that the chaos of a breakup with her boyfriend and the fact that she was heading to New Mexico to shoot a film put her in a bad state of mind. Her friend Damon Elliott said she was very spacey, and that's pretty much what happened. She was just super distracted and had a lot of things going on. In 2011, she appeared on Celebrity Rehab with Dr. Drew, where she talked about the sexual assault that she had experienced by the Chinese army officers. So this was a huge revelation, something she had never talked about. And basically, she was raped by Chinese officers during her time as a soldier, as a teenager, from the ages of 14 to 17 in the People's Liberation Army Performance Troupe. She shared how these Chinese generals raped her, and then she had to have a secret abortion, and I can't even imagine how traumatizing that must have been at the time. She was a child. She was literally a minor. Other women soldiers were raped. It just sounded like it was normal at the time. And one scene in particular from the show went viral. She refused to take her medicine, and she hid from the staff on the roof. In an interview with the San Diego Tribune after her appearance on the show, she said, "I accidentally or innocently destroyed the beautiful Bai Ling that everybody loved, that beautiful, talented actress. Instead, the media portrays me as this crazy slut showing her nipples everywhere," she said. "I became this character the pop culture Hollywood machine created, and somehow I became a victim of that image." And that's really sad. It's really what happened to her and a lot of women at that time, frankly. In 2003, Bai Ling had a comeback with the movie The Gauntlet, aka Game of Assassins. She won the Best Actress Award at the Los Angeles Cinema Festival of Hollywood. She's been working steadily since then. Just last year, she got rave reviews for her role in the Hong Kong horror movie Back Home. Now, when I look back on her storied career, I can relate to her in many ways. She's like a rule breaker, sexual attention seeker, but shy at the same time, growing up as a survivor of sexual assault. She's a warrior and a queen, really. She's still super actively acting, very active on Instagram, supportive of the LGBTQ community, and has come out as bisexual. So I think it's time for a major mainstream Bai Ling comeback. What do you guys think? Comment below, tell me what you think of the video, if you have any questions, comments, or who you'd like me to cover next.